Serves as an associative editor for journals, Communication Engineering and System, Journal of Electronics Engineering. He is a regular reviewer to various IEEE transactions journals, elsewhere, Tyler and Francis, Springer journals, and international conferences. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Hand over to Purnima.
Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you, Manognya. Thank you for introducing our today's speaker. Now over to you, sir. You can share your screen. Virendra, sir.
Yes, good morning all and namaste. I'm very much thankful to the Sri Vasavi Engineering College, Hyderabad, as well as the coordinators of this event, Dr. Purnima K and team. Thank you very much for giving an opportunity to share my knowledge.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Over this adaptive antennas for wireless communication, and also congratulate, since it is the 5th day, for a grand success of this Atal FDP to you and your
sir.
team.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam, can you give me permission to share the document?
Already given, sir, I think. I'll check.
No. Yes.
Okay.
Make me presenter so that I can present.
Sir, now permission given.
Yes, madam. I'm just turning on my PPTs. Yes, madam. Can you see this slide? Hello, madam. Can you see the presentation?
Sir,
PPT? Okay. Okay. Let me check, madam. My voice and PPTs are clear to all people.
Voice also clear, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, madam. So, good morning, one and all. I take this opportunity to present my research, adaptive antennas for wireless communication. I have done intensive research during my doctoral study as well as the postdoctoral study. So, I would like to share my knowledge and research experiments on adaptive antennas for wireless communication through this platform. I really thankful to the organizers as well as today's listeners. So I will keeping in mind that there will be a freshers to this topic. So I will start with my presentation from the basic, then I will move towards the advancement of this particular topic. So its index or outline starts with the introduction to adaptive beamforming and signal models for antenna systems, robust adaptive blind beamformers, direction of arrival estimation algorithms, and many more things. So introduction. Now, keeping beginners to this particular field, I would like to explain a very concise and very simple way what is adaptive antennas and what they are used for. And nowadays, these adaptive antennas are also called as smart antennas. They are emerging in, and they are the frontiers in the wireless communication. So we all know that this wireless communication, mobile communication, satellite communication, it is growing with a very high speed. But still, when we look into this practical implementation and the theoretical analysis, there is a huge gap, and the platform is remaining for the researchers to lot of research work. So here, adaptive antennas means the antennas which are capable to adapt to themselves. For example, we know that basic antenna, when we see the basic antenna, we have a radiation pattern. Its radiation pattern consists of some major lobe and the minor lobe. This is a basic antenna when we consider the single antenna. Now the single antennas are nowhere used. We find the single antenna application very seldom in wireless communications. Nowadays, no single antenna applications. Multiple antennas are there. MIMO technology is there. SIMO technology is there, and only at the receiver side or the transmitter side or at the both the sides, the multiple antennas are the new concept. So when these antennas are there more, they are called array of antennas. If they are able to control the radiation pattern without movement of the antennas, if they could able to move their beam towards the desired direction, then they are called it as a smart antennas. No antennas are smart in this world, but we are giving some smartness to the antenna. This term is smartness to the antenna, or smart antenna is also called as adaptive antenna. Now, what basically this adaptive antenna or star smart antenna consists of? This is basically a RF antenna and digital signal processors. And digital signal processors are controlling the complete radiation pattern of adaptive antennas or the smart antennas. Now, the question, why these smart antennas are becoming so popular nowadays and why they have emerged as a recent technologies. When we see the 5G, fifth generation mobile communication or the next generation, so we have seen in 1981 first generation, 1991 second generation, 2001 third generation, 2011 a fourth generation, 2021. This by the end of this year, a fifth generation mobile phone should be available to many people. But what is the challenging aspect of the fifth generation mobile phone is its bandwidth requirement. So in order to, but when we go for the bandwidth to satisfy the bandwidth requirement, the cost is directly proportional to the bandwidth. The solution is only the smart antennas or the adaptive antennas. So adaptive antenna provides the required efficacy without demanding for the high bandwidth. So that is the most important thing. So why this is there? Why it is so important and how easily we can use adaptive antennas? It is because of the recent technologies that has taken place in adaptive, what is ADCs, analog to digital converters. The analog to digital converters, we all know that in the communication system, particularly in wireless communication system, at the transmitter side, when sampling has to be taken place, or analog to digital signal. So analog to digital signal converters are very, very important. If they are doing at the super speed, super conversion, if it is possible with a reduced cost, then it becomes easy for using a multiple antennas at the transmitter side or at both the transmitter and the receiver side. So already I informed what is the smart or adaptive means the antennas themselves are able to adapt to the radiation pattern towards the desired direction without the actual movement of the antennas. In earlier days when this digital signal processing concept was not there, at that time antenna array has to be moved manually using some motors. That was a very error prone and it was very difficult and efficacy also very, very less. Now because of the advancement and the technologies which are available within digital signal processing form, antennas without actually their movement, they can move the radiation pattern in 360-degree as well. So this concept of the array signal processing for the antenna solves many problems like beamforming, signal processing, etc. The first time this term was put forward by the US patent, L.C. Vanetta has coined this adaptive antenna long back 1959. Because of that advancement was not there in the VLSI and the digital signal processing concept, it was seldom in use. Now everywhere we can use this array signal processing concept. It is because of the dramatic improvement that has taken place in digital signal processing. So this is for a beginner. It is a very interesting thing. So with this, I can demonstrate how actually the adaptive antenna works and the normal array antenna works. So in figure 1A, we can see that there is antennas which are there, L number of antennas when they are there. So each antenna has got a weight and all are summed together. We won't find any smartness or algorithms to which can control the radiation pattern of this one. However, when we see the second one, the B graph, where the same configuration of antenna is there, but in addition to that, we could see the bottom, there is a block for DOA, direction of arrival or adaptive beamforming algorithms. So this is the digital signal processor. So this digital signal processor is controlling the complete array so that it is called as adaptive antenna or smart antennas. So mainly dealing that there are two types of the algorithms which are using to control the radiation pattern. One is a direction of arrival estimation algorithm, another is the adaptive beamforming algorithm. In due period, I'll be explaining more on these algorithms. Now we'll see the architecture of a smart antenna system or adaptive antenna system. It is when we see this one, it consists of as told many antennas are there nowadays. When you take for the 5G, minimum 120 antennas at the transmitter side, minimum 120 antennas at the receiver side are required. So please, anyone who wish to interact with me, anytime you can interact with me if you have any doubts. Purnima madam, can you hear me? No, Dr.
Yes,
Purnima
sir.
madam.
You're audible,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, I request all the listener to feel free for the discussion. You can interrupt me at any point of the presentation. Thank you. So we're having antennas, L number of antennas, because this topic is array signal processing. A lot of mathematical modelings are involved. I think for most of them, it could be like a little a boring one, but because I will be speaking in the form of equations in future slides. So if you have any doubts, please feel free for the discussion. So when we're having L number of antennas, when the radio signals are received at this point, they have to be converted into baseband signal. We know that. So once these high frequency signals are converted into baseband, the very important component that is instrumental in communication is analog to digital converter. In practical scenarios, analog to digital converters are playing a key role because we know that the conversion of the analog signal to digital signal has to happen with very speed because the signal has to communicate with the speed of the light. So this conversion, or without taking a much time, the super conversion stage, this conversion has to take place. So when we see today's available at present condition, that analog to digital converters can convert at the rate of 100 giga samples per second. 100 giga samples is a tremendous samples. 100 giga samples per second is possible with the today's available analog to digital converters, which are used in mobile communication or any other wireless communication applications. Then these signals are before giving the output out before taking the output of array. We are having some weights. Each antenna has got a weight. So I'll be explaining what is a weight and how to derive the output of an array. So each and everything is the input signal is multiplied with the weight, and this is summed together to get the output. But when we see the DSP, that is the box that is presented in the box, digital signal processor. Mainly, I told two algorithms. One is adaptive algorithms, adaptive beamforming algorithm. Another is DOA, that is direction of arrival algorithms. These adaptive algorithms, there are plenty of algorithms are there, and the advancements are also taking place in order to improve the efficacy of a beamformer. So here the feedback system is existing, whereas for the direction of arrival, there is no feedback system is available. For the adaptive beamforming, the feedback is available. The array output is taken and it is given to digital signal processor, and again it is fed back to the antenna arrays where the weights are updated. Why this is those many of iterations are taking place? It is to reduce the mean square error. Now, what is the mean square error, or is the error? This error is the error between the output signal and the desired signal. So when we have an array output, when we require the desired signal, we will be having what is called we'll be having a difference. For example, to beginner, one illustration I can do that. If I write a number, let us say that I will write a number from 1 to 100 in my hand, and I'll ask anonymously to anyone to please tell the number which I wrote in my palm. So if they are telling any number, so that number and the written number minus is the error, like desired signal and the output signal. There exists always a error, that is we are evaluating the mean square error. And the process of the repetition, that is algorithms are feeding back the signal to the weights, and the weights are going to be updated in order to reduce the difference between the desired signal and the required signal, the desired signal and the reference signal. So that mean square error has to happen, should be almost zero or negligible. Until this, the iterations will be continuous. So for example, some algorithms take some 100 iterations, some algorithms takes only 5 to 6 iterations to give the required beam in a particular direction. So this is adaptive beamforming, a general concept. When you're taking direction of arrival, so direction of arrivals are the concept which are used in the radars, and the adaptive beamformers are used in the concept of the mobile communication. So direction of arrivals or direction of arrivals are used in satellite communication, sonars, and as well as the radars. So here, the outputs of the analog to digital converters are directly taken and given to digital signal processor, and digital signal processor precisely obtains the direction of arrival of the signal. This has to happen with very precise thing because it is in terms of the angles. So this is a block diagram. Now, and if animations in figure 3 and figure 4, we can see how the transmitter is there. The transmitter consists of the many antennas where the phase shifters are there. We all know that we have studied in antenna theory and design at the PG level, at the UG level, uh, that these antennas are controlling the radiation pattern. The phase shifters are there. So everything is controlled by C, that is C stands for computer. So C stands for computer. This computer is completely controlling the radiation pattern. And the fourth figure 4 animation showing the radiation pattern, where this the red colors and the blue colors. The red colors are the major lobes and the blue colors are the minor lobes. So digital signal processing. So what are the contributions of digital signal processing? The contributions of digital signal processing are direction of arrival, adaptive beamforming, and radiation pattern. Now, after giving a brief introduction with the block diagram and the definitions, now I will be going into the insights of the digital signal processing, which are really making antennas adaptive in nature. So what is a direction of arrival? Here, direction of arrival concept of the array signal processing is to estimate the direction of arrival of all incoming signals. When we say incoming signal, we know that in wireless communication, incoming signals may be uncorrelated or correlated, or maybe correlated coherent signal. So this is the biggest challenge in real-time application, that estimation of coherent direction of arrivals. So our algorithms, digital signal processing direction of arrival algorithms should be such a way that they have to estimate the direction of arrivals of both coherent and non-coherent signals, even in presence of high noise conditions also. Next, what is adaptive beamforming? So adaptive beamforming is adaptive array that acts as a spatial filter. So actually, to be frank, this adaptive beamforming concepts were developed during the World War II by the US military. It is just like a filter which is there in the space. So how this is, for example, a best example I can give you that for example, a presenter is presenting on the dais and asked all listeners to close their eyes. So when presenter is moving from one point to another point on the dais, the listener will be very carefully, meticulously, will be listening to the words of the listener, and he will discard all that noise or maybe other sounds which he is receiving. So he is doing a filtering inside his ear. A similar way, adaptive beamforming concepts are working like a spatial filter. In the space, it is just functioning as a filter. It will reduce or completely remove the interferences, and it will give the best quality beam in a particular direction. This is adaptive beamforming. Now, next comes to the radiation pattern. We all know the radiation pattern. So even with the single antenna, also the radiation pattern is possible, or also with the multiple antennas, also radiation pattern is possible. So in the radiation pattern, the main lobe represents the signal of interest, and the minor lobes represent the signal of non-interest or interferences. I will go into why these smart antennas or adaptive antennas are really required. The need of the smart antenna system. Plenty of aspects are there because of that smart antennas are required. One already I have given an example that in the 5G mobile communication, smart antenna is indeed required. So smart antenna are the only solution. Adaptive antennas are the only solution for the most of the 5G communication problems, because without demanding the large bandwidth, it will give the required efficacy. Means the cost, without affecting the cost, we could able to get the higher speed of internet in the 5G communication and beyond. So in addition to that, the first point, it provides the more signal bandwidth. That is the key aspect of adaptive antenna or the smart antenna system. And many you know that when multiple systems, multiple antennas are used, space division multiple access concept is possible, increases the reuse of the frequency, and provides the null steering or the side lobe cancelling. This is very important point, because what happens in real-time applications, when a major lobe is representing a signal of interest, when minor lobes are the interferences or side lobes, when they are grown to the height of the major lobe, that concept is called grating lobes. If the grating lobes have occurred, then for a radar system or any communication system, it will be an ambiguity, or it is a subtle thing to recognize which one is a user signal and which one is interference. So that our algorithm should be such a way that they should suppress or completely cancel the side lobe. Also this canceling or suppressing of the side lobes also saves a lot of power in the transmitter side of the base station step. Multipath suppression, clutter suppression, blind adaptation, speckles reduction in radar imaging, and many more are the why the smart antennas are required. Basically speaking, I'll be going into the details of the adaptive beamforming algorithms. They're broadly classified into two types of the algorithms. One is adaptive beamforming algorithms, another is the direction of arrival algorithms. Now we'll see first one. What are the basic classical algorithms that are available? Because for a beginner, it is difficult to understand what are the classical algorithms and how we can do the improvement on that one. So in this lecture, most of the people will be knowing how to improve this adaptive beamforming algorithm, and before that we need to understand the classicals one first. So adaptive beamforming algorithms, which are available in the literature, the most important and widely studied and widely used methods are the first one, least mean square algorithm. So most of the wireless communication scholars and the professors are knowing that what is the least mean square algorithm, the popular algorithm, because still it has its own limitations, like it requires many iterations before it producing a beam in a required direction. This is the biggest downside of the least mean square algorithm. But when we look into the advantage side of this particular algorithm, it is in low complex. The complexity of this algorithm is less, and it is very simple. And because of this, it is user friendly and for the implementation point of view. But however, the problem is it requires a large number of iterations in order to reduce the mean square error. Once the mean square error is reduced, then only a beam will be formed in a particular direction. So, in a literature, again, the improved version to combat this problem, which is existing with the least mean square algorithm, a normalized least mean square algorithm came into picture. The normalization has improved the efficacy of least mean square algorithm. And the robust least mean square algorithm, it is situated that in a very noisy situation also, the algorithm should not affect its performance. Then the gradient methods, the conjugate gradient algorithms, recursive least square algorithm, then hybrid of the algorithms like LMS, RMS, RLS algorithms are mixed or hybrid together to have a good outcomes. Constant modulus algorithm. So this algorithm is a popular method in radars, which doesn't require any reference signal, and because of that, the constant modulus algorithm is also called as a blind beamformer. Sample matrix inversion algorithm is also another algorithm. So each algorithms which are presented in this slide have got their own advantages as well as disadvantages. It depends on application, and based on the application, these algorithms are deployed for the usage. Then coming to the second category of array signal processing algorithm, second category of algorithms are the direction of arrival algorithm. So estimating very precisely the direction of incoming signals when signals may be coming with noise or without noise, sometimes with multiple noise like color noise over white noise, etc. So our algorithm should be a potential one in order to estimate accurately the direction of arrival in all situations. This is a challenging one. The first time the algorithm was developed by music algorithm by R.O. Smith in 1989. Multiple signal classification algorithm. This is a so popular algorithm till today also. This algorithm is a benchmark for most of the derivations or its improved versions. So after that, in order to overcome some limitations of the multiple signal classification that I will be discussing in the future slides, that root mean square algorithms came into picture. Using the polynomials of the roots, the root music algorithm is an improved one. The improved further to improvement our to root music is unitary music, beam space music. Then Indian scientist Dr. Kyle Nath has demonstrated the first time E-Sprit algorithm. This is most popular one. The multiple signal classification algorithm has proved its ability, but it has its limitations because it requires a most eigenvalue decomposition, but leads to a lot of complexity. To overcome that to a certain extent, the Professor Kailnath has invented eSPRIT algorithm. eSPRIT stands for Estimation of Signal Parameters via Rotational Invariance Technique. So this is a so beautiful research. So this is a benchmark for most of the directional variable methods. One need to understand thoroughly what is the estimation of signal parameter by rotational invariance techniques in order to improve or in order to develop own algorithms. So its improvements are unitary eSPRIT algorithms and more. Apart from music and eSPRIT, there's still different algorithms are also available like Capon method, Minom method, maximum entropy methods, Bartlett methods. These are all classical methods. So the listed direction of variable algorithms are the classical one. They have its own importance in communication. Nonetheless, in today's communication, if you consider the radar, it's improved versions. Many times these algorithms are improved. The improved algorithms are in usage. Now let us go to the most important part of this array signal processing. The most important part of the array signal processing or adaptive antenna concept is the signal model. This is a bit difficult for the beginner to understand the signal model. Once the signal model is understood, then we can easily develop the mathematical model so that we can make our research paper at the level of IEEE also. This is possible only when we have a thorough understanding of signal model. Then after our understanding of the signal model, we can develop our own mathematical model or array formulation so that they can give a more efficacy as compared to the previous algorithms. Let us understand the signal model or the mathematical formulation of adaptive antenna. So when we see this one, again, a similar diagram is presented here, but in a more detailed one. I'll be going insights of this diagram with many notations. So we have this antennas. We can say that the antenna #1, #2, #3, and L. These are the L number of antennas which are aligned horizontally. Means the configuration of this antenna is called linear uniform array. So we are having different configurations. In different configurations, we can develop the algorithm. Like we are having uniform linear array, uniform circular array, uniform rectangular array, and many other uh, configuration geometries for aligning these antennas. So what is the advantage of a uniform linear array? The advantage of uniform linear array is, in practice today also, when uniform linear arrays are taken, they are easy to implement. It is a hurdle-free one. The complexity is less. However, the drawback of this particular thing is that it is not able to provide the complete azimuth as well as the elevation coverage. In order to go for the complete coverage, we need to go for uniform circular array. But uniform circular array presents a lot of problems in practical scenarios because of its complexity alignment, and because of that today also most of the studies, research work, and the practical implementation relies on uniform linear array. So antennas are aligned horizontally, L number of antennas, they are uniformly, and we could see that how the wavefronts are taken. So a signal source is coming from the far field. Lambda is the wavelength of the radio signal. They are coming towards the antennas 1, 2, 3, etc. Now, I would like to illustrate in a very beautiful manner how exactly happens in the space. So this is what is the arrangement and how exactly to obtain the array output. I would like to illustrate one simple example that let us assume that there is a water, and if we are throwing a stone inside the water, when we are throwing a stone inside the water, the waves will form and waves will scatter. So we could not able to point the wave direction in a particular one. It is not possible. Nonetheless, if you could do in this way, if I'm throwing the stones with the delay in a certain way or in such a way that I could able to form waves in a particular direction where I want, so that I can strengthen the waves and I can make them to move in a particular direction. Now, how it is possible when I'm intelligently throwing the stone inside the water with a delays in a particular direction? Then it is possible to concentrate a wave or making it to move in a particular direction. The same way, the same scenario in the space, when we can see that the signal, the radio signal which is coming at the antenna 1, the radio signal which is coming at the antenna 2, radio signal which is coming at the antenna 3 have got different phase shifts as well as different delays, because based on this concept which I have explained, throwing multiple stones with a particular delay, making it to move in a particular direction. The same way, the weights are there provided in order to strengthen the radio signal, and these all are collected and summed together to get the array output. So at the array output, when we'll get a beam, that is a very strong wave on which is having its own high directivity signal is possible. Now, I'd like to explain one more point here, that what could be the distance between the two antennas. Theoretically, it seems very negligible, but in the practical implementation, when we say the two antennas, these two antennas should be separated by a distance of d is equal to lambda by 2. Why it should be separated d is equal to lambda by 2? Because of the two important points which happens in a real-time application. One is a mutual coupling problem. What is a mutual coupling problem? We know that what is a mutual coupling. So mutual coupling, when it is there, when antennas are brought below the d is equal to lambda by 2, mutual coupling is a problem in real-time application, and it affects the radiation pattern. We couldn't able to get a directivity of the desired beam in a particular direction. It completely affects that one. In order to avoid, so to circumvent the mutual coupling problem, the distance between two antennas must be strictly p is equal to lambda by 2. If it is less than that, mutual coupling. For example, if it is more than that, means it will problem will be the grating lobe. What is a grating lobe? For example, if you're using d is equal to lambda, or d is equal to 0.75 lambda, d is equal to 0.8 lambda, means we could find that the first and second or the adjacent side lobes will grow toward to the height of the major lobe in such a way that it will give an ambiguity for to identify which one is the desired one. So this is a problem. So this concept is called grating lobe. So for that one, the d distance between two antenna elements must be strictly lambda by 2. Now, as coming towards the mathematical development or mathematical formulation, these are the important vectors and the matrix which are required to be understood. The first one is steering vector, spatial covariance matrix, signal and noise subspace, autocorrelation and cross correlation, norm vector and variance, eigenvalues and eigenvectors. Now coming towards the first equation and the second equation. The first equation, x of n is equal to summation I is equal to m minus 1, si of n, a of theta I. So what is x of n? X of n is the signal, which is multiplication of the desired signal and the steering vector. Now question is that most of the people, how without moving antenna, how it is possible to move the signal in all directions? It is possible because of the steering vector. The steering vector a of theta, which is a exponential of minus j2 pi k d sine theta. D is the distance between two antenna elements. K is a sample number, and theta is an angle. So because of the steering vector is associated with two things. One with the desired signal and another with the noise. So this steering vector is making a signal to move in a particular direction. There is no difference between equation 1 and equation 2. However, in equation number 2 is a matrix form of the equation 1 formulation. Now, when we see this, the complete one with noise, equation number 3 now represents with noise. We can see that x of n, now we are having theta, a of theta naught, theta 1, theta 2, L minus 1. Means, for example, if you're having L number of antennas and signals are coming to all the antennas, and each signal has got its own steering vector plus noise. Most of the time in application, we consider noise as a white Gaussian with zero mean and sigma square variance. So signal model for beamforming algorithm, when we consider, you can see there is interferences, then the interferences are coming, S of n is coming, X of n is there, weights are there, and Y of n is the output. So this is already explained in figure 7. Now what is required one is the array output. So array output YFN is equal to W of H X of n. The superscript H stands for Hermitian transform. We know that what is a transform in matrix, what is a Hermitian transform, what is a conjugate transform, etc. So this is Hermitian transform of the weights are multiplied with the input signal X of n in order to get the output signal. So in a true sense, output array output is multiplication of weights and the input signal. So below equation is again equation number 4. It is again a matrix form where the interferences and noise is also considered for the input signal X of n. This is a basic signal model for both the adaptive beamformers as well as for the directional parallels. Now adaptive beamforming algorithms will study in detail. Now when we study in detail a particular algorithms, when we take adaptive beamforming algorithm further, adaptive beamforming algorithms are classified into two types of algorithm. One is non-blind adaptive beamforming algorithm. Another is a blind adaptive beamformers or beamforming algorithms. So what are they and why it is called a non-blind and what is a blind? In this context, the meaning of non-blind means uh, they require, for example, they require reference signal. Without the reference signal, they will not able to form a beam. A blind means they won't require any reference signal. The popular methods for the non-blind beams are least mean square, sample matrix inversion, recursive least square, and conjugate beauty method, etc. And the popular methods are for the blind beam forming are constant modulus algorithm, LS constant modulus algorithm, etc. Now, when we see this table where the summary is presented, so this table helps us to understand what are its as important aspects. So when we say the least mean square algorithm, it requires 80 iterations before producing a beam, but it is less complex. Advantage is less complex, disadvantage is 80 iteration. RLS algorithm, less efficient in non-stationary environment. However, it requires only 15 iterations. SMA, they works on block by block. They won't require iterations, requires large computation is the problem with SMA. However, conjugate gradient method is the most important, and it takes only 8 iterations and fast convergence is possible. In the blind side, when we say CMA and LSCMA, both are having a problem. The first one is having the large iteration, and the former one has the lower null depth. So now after this understanding of the basic classical algorithms with mathematical signal model, let us go towards the advancement. How we can improve the existing algorithm, how we can improve the efficacy of adaptive beamforming algorithm. So I tried in this way, which are published. So the first one is when we take the normalized LMS algorithm, or you can take a LMS algorithm. Both are depends on the constant step size. It is difficult when step size is constant. We all studied in digital communication and the wireless communication. When the step size is constant, it will not be a dynamic in the real time environment. So to make it more dynamic to change itself in the fast changing environment, the most important thing is that it's a step size. Instead of mu, it should be mu of n. It should be a function of n. So it should be variable. So where we tried in this way, we have formulated the formulation. The first one, this is the most important formulation which is presented. That is W of n plus 1 is equal to W of n, U of n, E of n, X of n divided by sigma of X of n square. Here in this one, we have coined this particular equation, and we have experimented also and compared the result with the normalized LMS as well as normal LMS algorithm also. We have seen improvement in both the cases for both the examples. So finally, we can get the output in the similar way. Y of n is equal to W of n into X of n. As far as the results are concerned, I can see that the results
Sir, sorry
they
to interrupt.
presented.
What were mu and sigma parameters in the previous slide?
Yes. Here, mu of n is a step size. As I told, LMS algorithm and normalized LMS algorithms are using step size constant. For example, if you want to simulate the existing LMS algorithm, you have to take the fixed mu value. For example, if you take mu value is equal to 0.08, 0.09, you will get the required radiation pattern. However, it affects the efficacy in real time in most of the environment. When the real-time environment, when signal is changing dramatically, at that time the constant step size is not working most of the time. In such cases, we could see that the LMS algorithm and NLMS algorithm using the constant step size deviates in performance. They will not provide the result which we will get in a MATLAB simulation. It will not be like that in real-time environment. Its radiation pattern or its efficacy will be totally deviating in many cases. So in order to avoid that one, we have to use mu of n, where mu is the constant. Mu of n means it is in sync with the changing n. So n is a function, that is, for example, x of t, like t is a function time. So n is also time. In discrete notation, we use n as a time. So it is with respect to time. I think I answered, madam.
And sir, sigma?
Sigma is variance, madam. Sigma is variance. X of n is the input.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So here the simulation results with comparison are shown. So list mean square, NLMS, and the proposed one. In here, when we take, for example, in the simulation, we took constant step size for LMS and the normalized LMS. Whereas for the variable step size in LMS, we have taken mu of n. There is no fixed value for the mu. Nonetheless, we won't see a much a bigger difference here because this is a simulation. It is all the situations will be in our control. We can, but in real time, when signal to noise ratio falls down, it goes into the negative values. Then the real challenges appears, or number of interferences grows. In such situation, the forming or maintaining the directivity of a beam will be a very challenging. So robustness is important to the algorithms. So how we can give a robustness to the algorithm? It is through always making a dynamic or adaptive step size. So still, also we could find the significant improvements that has taken place when we are changing the mu. So when we change the mu in the first figure, we could see that the radiation pattern is not much affected. However, the proposed one is still having a high directivity and a lesser side lobes. And second figure, as when we are plotting the mean square errors with respect to the iterations, we have taken iterations on the x-axis and the mean square error on the y-axis. When algorithms are simultaneously compared, so our algorithm, that is variable step size dispenser algorithms, are comparatively taking the less iterations to produce a beam. The beam, which is shown in figure 1, to form such type of a beam, each iterations going into iteration. Why they are going into iteration? Explained in the beginning slides, because there exists a error between the desired signal and the required signal. So that is measured to the mean square error. Once the mean square error is 0 or it is almost 0, the wave will be formed in a particular direction. So some algorithm like LMS require more than 100. NMLS also required approximately up to more than 90, etc. So, but however, the proposed variable step size one taking less iterations to this one. So when we are steering the simultaneously, we have also seen how we check the efficacy by electronic steering of these algorithms in various directions. We could see that in all directions in the required one, the efficacy of the proposed one is maintained properly for most of the directions. Also, they are in the desired direction. They are forming a beam. This is the first one. Now, second one, the second method, how the improvement that we can make is that using the 2D configuration. So this is an interesting concept. So still many improvements also done to this one, but here we need to understand this 2D configuration of uniform linear array. When we use the classical uniform linear array, the classical uniform linear array like only horizontal alignment or horizontal alignment of antennas when we are taking. I told that most of the time we could not able to get the complete azimuth coverage, etc. So now what is called interferences depths are also not to that extent what is required one. So the new configuration which is presented here is a doubly crossed uniform linear arrays. We have taken antennas on the horizontal as well as the vertical side. This is a doubly crossed uniform linear arrays configuration. So how we can develop the mathematical formulation for this one? This is very important. If we say, for example, in my mind, the modification to uniform linear array came and we have gone through some simulations and we have done some simulations and we are going to write a paper, it is not going to be accepted. Everything we should speak in terms of the mathematical model. So mathematical model development is the fundamental aspect to make our results to be published in reputed journals like IEEE, etc. So here we have taken the input signal x of n as x of n h and xv of n. So horizontal components plus vertical components. Similarly, steering vectors have to be considered. Steering vectors are also considered horizontal way, vertical way. The presented slide, concise mathematical model is presented. You can download the paper on 2D uniform linear array to go into the detailed mathematical analysis of this method. So next one, the array factor. This is very, very important. To form a radiation pattern, array factor is on y-axis, angles on the x-axis. We all know array factor. So this array factor also, we have taking the sum of the horizontal array factor components plus a vertical array factor component. Please remember that when we are taking the horizontal array component, here at the angle will be sine theta. Vertical means it will be 90 degree. The angle will be cos theta, which is represented in the vertical section. So now let us go towards the analysis, the results, how the improvements which we have seen. The blue colored one, a figure of for figure 5, 6, and 7 respectively, for the simulation for the LMS, NLMS, and variable step size NLMS, considering classical uniform linear array. I repeat, the result presented in figure 5, 6, 7 for A, all are respectively for LMS, NLMS, and variable step size LMS, considering the classical uniform linear array. Nonetheless, B of 5, 6, and 7, B figures that represented in magenta colors are the using the 2-dimensional uniform linear array, where uniform arrays are taken horizontal and vertical. Our study clearly shows that the interferences are deeper, more interferences reduction is possible. You can see interference signal here, it is plotted. When we consider LMS, NLMS, and variable for the table 1, considering uniform linear array, second one for the 2D uniform linear array, we could see the interference signals are more null depth. More null depth means more immune to noise. So this concept this is the outcome of this result. Now I would like to go towards this particular thing. Now next novel LMS algorithm. I think I have another 30 minutes time. So novel LMS algorithm, this is my patented work. So here we have designed a block diagram for the LMS algorithm in such a way that I would like to demonstrate result first and would like to come back to the mathematical model. So in this result, figure 11, which I have shown, the mean square error is there. It is becoming 0 for less than 10 iterations. In literature, no LMS algorithm have produced a beam for less than 10 iterations. I told we have seen whether it is LMS, whether it is NLMS, whether it is a variable step size LMS or any other least mean square algorithm which are there, they are taking more than 80 iterations before producing a beam. 80 iteration is too much because it takes a lot of time as well as power. This is the biggest downside of LMS algorithm. However, the LMS algorithm is the most widely studied because of its less complexity. The only problem is its convergence rate. Once the convergence rate is improved, when we make a convergence less than iterations like iterations 8, 10, lesser, just like conjugate gradient method, it can be used in many applications because of advantages of low complexity and fast farming. It is because less iteration. So this technique is already published on IPR. Is a copyrighted one. So anyhow, without going into the complete details of this one, I would like to explain only the mathematical developments which we have made to this LMS algorithm. So this novel
What is the
LMS
last
algorithm,
expression? Can you just drag that stop sharing bar a little down?
yes.
You were supposed to drag it, you clicked it, and the sharing stopped. So
When I just stop the sharing, I think in not be able to see this one. I think, can you see the PPT now?
no, sir, you'll have to
I
share it
think
again. It was just coming over the equation, so I requested to drag it a
yes,
little.
yes. I will share it again. A few seconds. Yes. Now, since it is not on slideshow mode, I think you can see the equations. Yes. The slide is clear. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Slide is clear now.
Clear.
Yeah. So after this slide, I need to go for slideshows for the proper presentation. Now here, as you asked, equation 2 and equation here in the slide, equation 2 and equation 4, right? They are the equations of LMS algorithm only, because you can see on the block diagram. In the block diagram, the newly invented blocks are CSU and SU, right? So here, SU, it's a name which we have given. CSU and SU are the two names which we have given to the first and the third one. Nonetheless, the second and the last one are the classical LMS algorithms only. They are the blocks of classical one. Because of that, the weight updating equation, when we say the weight updating equation, is more responsible for the forming a beam. You can ask me why some beam formers are taking 80 iterations, some are taking 90, some are taking 100, some are taking 10. This because of the it's weight updating formulation. Weight updating formula or weight updating equation of LMS algorithm is W of n plus 1. It is updated one is equal to W of n plus 2. Here mu is a step size, x of n is input signal, e of n is the error signal, the error between the reference signal and the desired signal. This is already existing one, second and the third one. So what we have coined is this one, speeding unit. S stands for, yes, speed, U stands for unit. One is the speeding CSU, one is a speeding unit which is at the first side, another is the third one. So the speeding unit is producing the weight updating equation WSU. It is, we have formulated here. Again, the formulation of the LMS algorithm, then that is cascaded next to the speeding unit. Then that one is taken to the LMS. Then the output, the complete, the average of this weight updating equation all together simultaneously will help us to get the result like this. This is what how we can speed up the performance of the LMS algorithm. So this is these things here. If you ask me what is here, here R of X is, it is covariance matrix. You can see this is autocorrelation is there. Wn of E is the begin reference one. So these are the things, because I will not go much into this one, how to develop exactly the mathematical models of this, because this is my patent work. Still, it is under the process of grant. So only the required thing for the information I have presented here.
But sir,
Now
the
let us
terms
look.
WV, WN, and WD, they are not there in the diagram. Where are they?
Yes, yes, madam, it is not the complete. I cannot the complete one. It is
Okay,
under the
fine.
examination is
Okay, sir.
going copyrighted one. So only
Okay,
since
sir.
it is the beginner explanation purpose, only the important diagram and important equations have been presented. So for how we can, this is the flow chart, how this is a normal flow chart. Everything is the same. For example, when what is the requirement of the mathematical development stages of or array formulation stages? For example, first one, we need to compute the steering vector and for the desired signals, then steering vectors. After that, we need to go for covariance metrics, cross correlation, etc. Then we have to take the samples. Then we have to take weight updating equation. Then finally, we have to, through the weight updating equation, we have to go for the array factor evaluation. Then array factor will give the plot for the radiation pattern. This is the normal one, but the block diagram, which is in the red color highlighted one, is the one that is the new method. So as for coming towards this performances of the algorithm, the proposed one, we can see that mean square error, how it is reducing less than 10 iteration. So same thing, and in continuation with our work, the previous work, which is used for the variable step size one, you can see in the same plot. In the same plot, the another algorithm what we have taken, that is LMS algorithm, novel LMS algorithm. You could see that how dramatically it has improved in the making very less mean square error, that is less iteration less than 10, it is able to produce a beam in a required direction. And the last figure, that is the last figure, the radiation pattern, the comparative one, there is no difference. Almost the variable step size algorithm and the novel LMS algorithm have the same radiation pattern. There is no difference. But what is the advantage side? The advantage side is less iteration. So when we take the comparison when we take almost all algorithms are presented here. The novel one requires only 6 to 8 iteration most of the time, with very less complexity and with a very high convergence speed as compared to the beamforming algorithms like SMI, CGM, CMA, etc. So this is the interesting outcome of the novel LMS algorithm. Now, as far as this calculation is concerned, so how improvement factor we have calculated. So you can see how this has improved, showing improvement. So when compared to the classical standard LMS algorithm, the novel LMS algorithm is providing 92.5 of improvement in convergence rate, because we have taken convergence into consideration. So in compared to this convergence of, like, I have taken only 80 iterations for LMS, 6 iterations for novel. So 80 minus 6 into 80 into 100, it's 92.5% of the improvement it is provided. So let's go towards the robust adaptive blind beamforming algorithm. So in any algorithm, for example, any algorithm, we need to formulate, problem formulation is very, very important. Right. So in problem formulation, we have taken the constant modulus algorithm. Similar to LMS algorithm, in my study, I have taken constant modulus algorithm. I will show the result of this. The constant modulus algorithm here, radiation pattern B. So the radiation pattern of constant modulus algorithm here, it is beam is formed towards the zero direction. The major, the side lobes are also there. So side lobes are the major problem, one of the problems of constant modulus algorithm. In addition to that, number of iterations are similar to LMS algorithm. Large number of iterations are required before producing the beam in a required direction. So here I have highlighted 2 points. The major downsides of the CMA are extremely low convergence rate, similar to LMS algorithm, requires more than 100 iterations, and large peak side load levels are the two problems. In order to solve these two problems, firstly, we need to improve the convergence rate. To improve the convergence rate, we have to modify the weight updating equation, and we have to check through the MATLAB simulation whether the convergence rate, when it is improved, whether the radiation pattern is affected or not affected. If it is not affected, means that formulation can be considered. The second one, how to suppress the side lobe, how to make it almost and make the peak side lobes levels of the algorithm suppressed. We are using one technique called window techniques. We are using window technique. There are many windows are there available, like Hanning window is there, Hamming is there, the Kaiser. So we have dubbed the technique as HCMA for Hanning constant modulus algorithm, HW for Hamming one, then KW for the Kaiser CMA algorithm. So these are the first equation. The first formulation is that, again, what is instead of taking into bracket, I wrote in script superscript for like w bracket n plus 1, we can also write as w suffix n plus 1, w of n minus. This is the formula where u of n is adaptive one, y of n is the array output, so x of n is the input. So this new formula, which the formulation, array formulation, when we have seen in the MATLAB simulation, has improved the iteration. So I will show the simulation result. Firstly, we improved the constant modulus algorithm to solve the problem of its iteration. Next, the problem is with respect to the side lobe, peak side lobe levels. In practical scenario, this concept of constant modulus algorithm is widely studied for radars. When it is studied for radar for the estimating the direction of arrivals, etc., the side lobes, when it is shown in the MATLAB simulation, it is almost the 30% of the major lobe. We don't know when real time it will grow further, and it will almost become equal to the major lobe. So this should not happen. So it should not happen means we have to suppress its side lobes. So there are many techniques are there to suppress. I have used three techniques of using. One is using Hanning window, one other using Hamming window, and one other using Kaiser window. So we have to take all these window technique and we need to incorporate into the improved CMA. So we have these are the mathematical formulae: HCMA, HWCMA, KWCMA, and its respective mathematical formulations. When we use this one on figure one, first one in this robust algorithm, we could see that the Kaiser and we have used the Kaiser one and we used the Hamming one. We could see that the iterations are less than 10. This is the improvement what we can do to the convergence rate, improve the convergence rate by using the formulation. So you need to check your formula and you have to implement it, and whether it is producing a required result. So even though when it is reduced the iterations also, we need to look into the radiation pattern also, whether radiation pattern is affected or not affected. So radiation pattern which is shown towards B is not affecting in any the classical, what the classical CMA is giving, the improved CMA also giving the same radiation pattern, and desired direction is in the main major lobe is in the desired direction. I have taken 0 as angle of arrival. So in the 0, at the 0 position, angle of arrival major lobe has appeared. We have taken only 5 to 6 antennas for this study. Now let us study in detail the more insight of this algorithm. The figure 2, figure 3, and figure 4 respectively represents the radiation pattern for Hanning, Hamming, and a Kaiser one. So we have studied 3 for each section. For in figure 2, we are having 3 graphs. Figure 3, 3 graphs. Figure 4, 3 graphs. Simultaneously, these are for respectively for antenna elements 10, 20, and 30. So the more number of antennas means the more will be the directivity, that we know that, and less will be the number of side lobes. Side lobes will be reduced. So here, as compared to the Hanning is also able to suppress the side lobes, as well as Hamming is also able to suppress the side lobes. But the last one stands top of the order. Kaiser window, particularly when we use it for more than 20-30 antennas. The last graph of the figure 4, we could see that the pencil beam is able to be formed. The pencil beam means a very high directivity. That is the one thing. The second one, there is almost no side lobes have appeared. So this dramatic the changes we can do, the first improving the CMA and then suppressing its side lobes by using the Kaiser window. And recently I have also used Kaiser Bessel window. When we use Kaiser Bessel window also, the improved as far as compared to the figure 4, the further improvement can also be possible. So these are the improvements in the values form. What is the improvements which we can get in terms of the peak side lobe levels, etc. Okay. So when we compare all these beamforming algorithms, we see that the novel LMS algorithm able to give a large, when is very fast in lesser iterations, it is giving 92.5 of improvement and less complexity and more suitable for the real-time application, as well as the robustness. In the robust adaptive beamforming algorithm, we have changed the CMA, etc. So I think any questions, please free for the discussions. Dr. Purnima, madam, can you take questions from the listeners?
Participants, if you have any queries, you can ask now.
Please
So
feel free for any professor.
This conference will now be recorded.
I am a researcher as well, and I'm a faculty as well. I am a faculty
you're-
pursuing my PhD.
Yeah. Madam, you're doing research in which area?
Wireless body area networks, quality of service parameters. So I'm basically into antenna design, but the topic
Yes.
seems interesting for my MTech students.
Yes.
I can proceed. So I'm wanting a little background for myself.
Yes. Why I just asked because I would interested to know whether you are completely into this one or you are just a superficial study is there with for this adaptive antenna. The madam here, two things you have mentioned. One is MATLAB, another is SFHS. What is happening is in the MATLAB with the existing facility. For example, we all have MATLAB in our laboratories to teach the MATLAB programs for the students. That is enough to study the array signal processing algorithm. Whatever array signal processing algorithms I have discussed so far, you can use any algorithm. You can take novel LMS, you can take LMS, you take conjugate. Any algorithm can be implemented, can be compiled on a simple MATLAB. That is requirement. Only you will get a simulation experiment for that one. Now, when we are going for HFSS, the HFSS is a high frequency simulation software or i3D software or Pico software. They are the software for designing antenna. Now, designing antenna means you have to design practically a microstrip antenna or any other antennas to make it arrays. Then you need to feed them properly. Then you need to connect it to digital signal processor. Then you need to take this your developed algorithm into the digital signal processor. Then you need to form a beam and you need to navigate, you need to track, etc. This is nothing but a base station work. So if you want to do it experimentally means through the HFSS, designing antennas. Antenna is just like a hardware antennas. They are not adaptable antennas. To make it adaptive, you need a support of algorithms which can control the entire things. So how to control digital signal processors? Which digital signal processor we have to use? Some TMS 320 is possible. You can use it TMS Texas Instrumentation's TMS 320, which has multi-core inside it. You can use the multi-core based TI's digital signal processor, but however, which algorithm you would like to use, whether a music, whether a LMS or a classical or your own algorithm. If you develop your own algorithm, you have to dump into the digital signal processor. Then you have to correlate your what is your array of antennas you have designed with the HFSS or i3D. Then you have to check the beam, how to form a beam in a particular direction or how to estimate the direction of arrival. For this one, experimental setup is required. You need to visit ISRO, you need to visit DRDO or any other research center where the base station facility or the setup is required. So however, in our institutions, we have institutions where such facilities are not available. What we can do individual research. Individual research we can do on HFSS for designing microstrip antenna where you can see the bandwidth and many radiation pattern, etc., analysis without connecting it to array signal processing. Or you can do array signal processing individually on the MATLAB, where I have listed algorithm or improved algorithms are also possible. So you can put my name, Dr. Virendra Dakulge. Plenty of papers will come, including IEEE also. There are 6 to 7 IEEE papers are there. So you can look into these things. You can get an idea how to simulate algorithms. And this is independent work. When you are correlating both the HFSS design and the MATLAB simulation, we require a base station or the facility where we can do the experimental thing. In institute level, we can do it independently. HFSS, using HFSS, we can design the microstrip antennas, and using MATLAB, we can study the array signal processing algorithm or adaptive algorithm.
Sir, in MATLAB, what all toolboxes would be required?
No, nothing. The signal processing is more than enough. Whatever, for example,
Basic signal
all the
processing
MATLAB has.
toolbox.
I
No
think
antenna
all MATLAB.
toolbox or array
No,
toolbox.
nothing like it is a signal processing only, madam. What the signal processing lab, for example, at the UG level, if a sampling algorithm you can run, no, on the same platform, you can run the any algorithm. That is only the requirement.
Okay. Thanks
Even
a
your
lot, sir.
UG students are also